week's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this, our continued coverage of what could be a Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou fight. Apparently, they're playing with the idea of it being an MMA match. We have spoken about that. That has been in discussions. That's something that can potentially happen. Wilder, for a little while now, has been training in MMA. He's really serious about the MMA, and he's been training a little while, will not be long enough.
It's not like this guy mastered boxing. It's not like he's a master boxer, so he's definitely not going to be a master mixed martial artist. His best bet to win this thing is to stick to his boxing, what little bit he knows, and what little bit has worked for him over the years.
Boy, I'll tell you, he'd have to have the worst team in professional boxing, and I mean the absolute worst, if they actually let him walk into an octagon at his age and his limited skill set as a boxer. What the fuck is supposed to translate into mixed martial arts? Perhaps that's an idea that they're playing with. Though if this fight is going to happen, I don't think it happens in an octagon. I think it happens in a boxing ring. That's the intrigue. That's the selling point.
It would be. Matchroom Impresario seems to have caught wind of all of this. Wilder in the Octomom.
It's the octagon. Eddie Hearn said, "I'm not being funny. But have you seen his legs? If Francis Ngannou kicked Deontay Wilder's legs, they would literally snap in half." Eddie Hearn knows, like I know, like you know, like everybody knows. Deontay Wilder's best bet for victory, his best chance, is in a boxing ring. And even in a boxing ring, it's not a sure thing. It's not a sure bet. You see what Francis Ngannou did to Tyson Fury. Wilder was beaten by Tyson Fury. Wilder, who hasn't fought in over a year's time, is approaching 40.
And you want to try your hand at a new sport now?
You would have to have the worst, and I mean the absolute worst team in all of boxing. The worst management, the worst trainers, worst, if they let you do that. But then again, this is the guy who admitted to turning down more money for less money, more belts for less belts, to fight Tyson Fury again. So anything really is possible.
When you're a bumbling fucking idiot, it is.
We all know that Wilder's no mixed martial artist, and the real appeal, the real intrigue of a Wilder versus Ngannou fight, it's in a boxing ring, not the octagon.
Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are not the only boxers that have caught the proverbial crossover bug. Eddie Hearn says, now I'm thinking Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua.
Perhaps in Africa, perhaps the Rumble in the Jungle 2 is one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport. And I promise you this, respect to Francis, but easy work for my man. It is true. Anthony Joshua, who is of Nigerian descent, and Francis Ngannou from Cameroon, that could be huge. And I mean huge. Monumental in Africa. Bigger than a Wilder fight, bigger even than this past weekend's fight. It's not a secret.
Anthony commands a larger audience than Deontay Wilder. He still has drawing power. That's why he's on the Forbes list and Wilder isn't. And Tyson Fury isn't. You can say whatever you want to say about his boxing, about his chin, about his heart, but one thing we know for sure is he can draw. And if you put him in the ring with Francis Ngannou, that sells.
But can Anthony actually beat him, though? Is it really easy work the way that Eddie Hearn says it's easy work? I can only tell you what I think.
What?
And if you want to know what I think, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do, people don't think about Anthony in the proper scope.
Nope.
They don't view him through the proper lens. They're always questioning him, but not Deontay. Always questioning him, but not Tyson. Anthony Joshua has had something like 12 title fights as a professional, whereas Tyson Fury has only had 6.
Tyson Fury's been around a lot longer than Anthony Joshua. He debuted as a professional in 2008. Anthony doesn't debut until 5 years later in 2013. So why is it that Anthony has more title fights under the hot lights than Tyson Fury?
Perhaps it's because he didn't take a 2-year hiatus from the sport like Tyson Fury did, and perhaps it's because over the years he hasn't been as selective as Tyson Fury.
You didn't have to go through this dog and pony show to get Anthony in the ring with Usyk, but with Tyson Fury.
Many of you out there are still struggling with the notion that all this time you've been wrong about Tyson Fury, you've been wrong about Deontay Wilder, and you've been wrong about Anthony Joshua. There are still people out there that call Anthony fragile and chinny, when in reality, Wilder's been knocked down more times than Anthony Joshua and knocked out more times than Anthony Joshua.
A lot of people don't view this kid through the proper lens. They don't give him no credit.
Alexander Usyk caught wind of Eddie Hearns' proposition, now wanting Anthony to fight Francis Ngannou and suggesting that AJ would KO Tyson Fury in 6 rounds. After what we've seen, Ngannou can be a competitive player in the heavyweight division. Eddie Hearn, you talk too much.
It doesn't sound like Usyk is on board with what Eddie Hearn is suggesting, but consider that, Tyson Fury getting knocked down is not limited, is not exclusive to the Wilder fights, the Wilder trilogy.
It's almost like that's all that Tyson Fury is known for, those Wilder fights. But he was in fact caught many years ago by Nevin Pajcik, and he was caught again by Steve Cunningham, and he was caught again several times by Deontay Wilder, and he was caught again and again this weekend by Francis Ngannou, a novice boxer. So it's safe to say
Tyson Fury can be caught.
In spite of what some people might think, this past weekend, this guy got floored by a novice boxer who had never boxed under the hot lights before, no professional experience. He sat you on your back pocket, but you're telling me Anthony can't. It's impossible.
These people, they can't see the forest through the trees.
This past weekend's fight should be motivation enough for all of you to reevaluate what you think you know about Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury, who Usyk is still gunning for.
Usyk, who has revealed that he was shouting advice to Tyson Fury to try and help him after Francis Ngannou knocked him down. I was nervous that our fight was in jeopardy. I even started to shout out means to fight him before this year is out, as was initially planned. Hell, it was Tyson Fury that said ahead of this weekend's fight that the fight has to happen December 23rd. There's no escape for Usyk, and if they don't fight, he will be in breach of their contract and he'll get sued. So does the same not apply to Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury, who's now saying, see you guys next year.
What happened to this one? What happened to December 23rd? Undisputed. We know what happened. Francis Ngannou happened.
And let's not kid ourselves. We know this fight is not happening on December 23rd. So what is it exactly that Usyk is doing? And Usyk is only doing to Fury what Fury's been doing to Usyk. Nobody likes their own medicine. He's doing this publicly. He's ribbing him because he knows. Anybody who wanted to see this fight sooner rather than later, anyone who was expecting to see it in December, now has Tyson Fury to blame.
When it doesn't happen.
I'm beginning to wonder if it's more important to some people to maintain the illusion that Tyson Fury is good for boxing. Is that more important to them than the overall health of the sport itself? Is it more important to the pundits? Is it more important to the fans to maintain the illusion?
I feel like he's doing the sport more harm than good.
The best thing that could happen now is you get this guy in the ring with Usyk sooner than later. Usyk beats him, takes his belt, and he can fuck off into the sunset. Go fight a dancing bear.
Go run it back with Francis Ngannou. Redeem yourself.
Because all Tyson Fury has done since he's come back is make a mess of the place, make a mess of the heavyweight division. So the best thing that could happen now is somebody takes that green belt from him and lets him just fuck off into the sunset. Go do whatever you want. And a part of me feels that this is just Tyson Fury dragging this out, because if he's nothing else, he's a thorn in boxing's side. He's a pain in the ass. He's not the one who revitalized the heavyweight division. That was actually Anthony Joshua and the buzz around a Deontay Wilder fight. All Tyson Fury did was ride that wave and subsequently make a mess of the place. Now what Frank Warren is saying is that Fury versus Usyk is more likely to happen early next year than before the end of this one. But doesn't that then mean that Fury would be in breach of their contract, of their existing agreement?
Well, Fury wants to play by his own set of rules, and people are growing tired of it.
I've got to be honest, I said all along that this fella's strong. He's a competitor, because I've looked at a lot of his fights that he had in the UFC and he can punch. I thought he could never outbox Tyson, and I expected Tyson to beat him, but I thought it would be a rough, tough fight for him. And if he catches him, he'll go. Fury's promoter, Frank Warren, told Steve Bunce on the 5 Live Boxing podcast.
That's damage control. That's all that is.
What happened this weekend is not what usually happens when mixed martial artists endeavor into the sport of boxing. And if it were another boxer, if it were, say, Anthony Joshua that got dropped by a novice boxer instead of Tyson Fury, is this the tune that Frank Warren would be singing? And what about Tyson Fury himself? What if he saw Anthony get dropped by a guy that never boxed before? What do you think he'd be saying?
So don't pull no punches just because it's Luke.
The fella shaped up much better than I thought he would. Normally, MMA guys are a bit more square on. He actually shaped up really well. He gave Tyson the toughest fight he's had, certainly in his last 2 fights. I thought he made more of a fight of it than Dillian Whyte or Derek Chisora. He's just a real roughhouse fighter, and as I was watching it, I started thinking about a couple of fighters and what kind of problems he'd give. He's come out of that with a lot of credibility. There's no doubt about that. All these so-called smartasses who were saying it was a gimmick or an exhibition, did that look like an exhibition? That was a tough fight. I thought Fury won it. I thought he won by 3 rounds at least, on punches landed and so forth. Especially the later rounds. He was catching him a lot with his jab.
Frank is asking a rhetorical question. Did that look like an exhibition? All I can tell you is it was supposed to. If Fury is who you say he is and who he says he is, then it was supposed to look like an exhibition, and it didn't.
Usyk got in the ring afterwards. The fight was signed, and we were going to do it on the 23rd of December. I doubt that will happen now because Tyson can't be going into a camp after a tough fight like that, having a week off, he said. That's 8 weeks away. He needs a bit of time to get his body back into shape and let it heal before he gets back into camp. It'll be on early next year. Riyadh season finishes in March. It could be up until then. I told him to have a rest. He wanted to fight. I said, just go have a break. You don't have to make no decisions tonight. You do it to your agenda, not to everyone else's. And if Fury really were hell-bent on fighting Usyk before this year is out, there's nothing Frank could do about it, not if the contracts are already signed.
He's just trying to take the heat off of Fury, and it doesn't fool me.
WBO interim champion Zhilei Zhang, he reacted to the fight and he believes Ngannou deserved the win over Fury. It was a night of shame for boxing.
Do you remember the collective grief and the collective embarrassment that I was talking to you about a day or so ago? That's what Zhang is describing.
To be honest with you, I got Francis Ngannou winning, Zhang told Boxing News. If you count the knockdown, it's a 10-8 round. And throughout the whole fight, he was landing more power shots and he was being aggressive. Fury didn't throw a lot of punches for some reason. He was just holding himself back and controlling the distance with his jab. I think it's a night of shame for the sport of professional boxing. Zhang, who is coming off a 2nd consecutive stoppage of Joe Joyce in the fall, felt Fury's performance damaged boxing's reputation.
Where was the bully? Where was the guy that steamrolled Deontay Wilder in the last 2 fights of their trilogy? Where was that guy?
Well, I've been telling you. Just because he did that to Deontay, a one-trick pony, a one-handed fighter with poor feet, poor coordination, not much of a jab.
You guys didn't notice that he didn't use those bully tactics on Dillian, or Derek, or Francis this past weekend. Why is that?
To be honest, I think it's bad for boxing, Zhang said. People like myself, we're training hard every day, and we want to deliver a professional performance, and what Fury did last night was just bad for the sport of boxing. He might have money and people behind him to support him, but in other ways, it's just bad for the sport overall. The sport's image, the sport's reputation. Tyson Fury is doing more to hurt it while he lines his own pockets because he doesn't respect his position as a champion. He doesn't respect the fans.
He never has. But this is who some people insist should be the sport's ambassador. The guy who's supposed to be this era's greatest heavyweight and the greatest heavyweight in the history of heavyweights. Are you fucking kidding me?
I never bought into any of that stuff. And maybe now you know why. Now that same Tyson Fury wants an Ngannou rematch down the line, and I'm sure Francis would like to do it as well.
And if you really are who you say you are, that is if you were, you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to run it back with a novice in order to redeem yourself.
Listen, I would like to do it again down the line, Fury said, and I'm sure Francis would like to do it as well. But we got this man, Alexander Usyk, to deal with next, and that is what is next for us. It's just a question of when. The Usyk fight is not happening this year. That is established. Hopefully it happens early next year, and hopefully Usyk takes care of business so this guy can sail into the sunset because from what I can see, he's doing the sport more harm than good. A lot of people were convinced
that just because he bullied Wilder, just because he bulldozed that guy, that all of a sudden he's this bulldozer. That bulldozer's been missing in action for the last 3 fights, if you've been paying attention.
He didn't exactly bulldoze Dillian White or Derek Chisora. He moved lateral, boxed those guys, set them up for counters, went back to vintage Tyson Fury as best as he could, but he didn't bulldoze them, and he certainly didn't bulldoze Francis Ngannou this past weekend.
So maybe he's not the bulldozer that he's been made out to be, because he only appeared a bulldozer with Wilder. With other guys...
I'm not telling you he's a bad boxer. Believe it or not, I don't think he's a bad boxer. I just think you guys blew those Wilder fights way out of proportion to the point that you started telling yourselves that he's this era's greatest heavyweight and that he's the greatest heavyweight of all times. For a stinker with Vlad and a trilogy with Wilder, that's all it takes? I'll say it again. This past weekend's fight against a guy who never boxed before, a novice, should be enough motivation for all of you out there to sit down and reevaluate what you think you know about Tyson Fury.
I remember after AJ versus Franklin, how much guff he got for a fight that he clearly won.
Jermaine Franklin ain't no novice. He's got plenty more rounds of experience than Francis Ngannou has. He didn't knock down Anthony Joshua, but Francis Ngannou, he did knock down Tyson Fury.
Anthony wins a comprehensive decision, gets criticized for it. But Tyson Fury gets knocked down by a novice.
In a fight that some people don't even think he won. And you don't think it's time for you to reevaluate your perspective on Tyson Fury and who he really is?